I'm the square peg, right? Like I'm just coming in to kind of to try to steer the ship 10-2, right, so to speak, and get us in and out of breaks and set Allison up and what have you.
You know Ian Furness from his 12 to 3 midday show on KJR-FM Sports Radio, as well as the Seahawks coverage on Fox 13 and WHL and IHL hockey play-by-play. And now you'll know him as the host of Kraken coverage on the new Kraken Hockey Network. Ian, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure, Glenn. How are you?
Just fine. First question, as Seattle's version of the legendary Hockey Night in Canada announcer Ron McLean, can we count on you to make musical references and dad jokes like Ron does?
Musical references, probably not. I'm the worst trivia guy in the world. Like, honest to goodness, I am the worst. And I think with the dad jokes, probably that's just because I'm old and I'm a dad. But yeah, that might come into play as a natural transition. But I think that the music trivia, the movie trivia, that type of thing, even the poetry references he uses and things like that, I'm not a Renaissance man. That guy's the best in the business.
I like him too. So if you could be mentioned in the same conversation with him, that's not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I haven't even hosted a show yet. So we better put the brakes on that one right now.
I was lucky enough recently to interview John Forsland, and he told me that he could get more exposure and make more money working other sports, but that hockey was where his heart was. And I imagine you feel the same way.
Yeah, I think in some ways, like I was lucky. You mentioned the Fox 13 stuff with the Seahawks coverage, and I did that for about 15 years, covering my hometown NFL team and home and away. I think we saw, I'd say 32 NFL stadiums, but we've seen some that no longer have teams, St. Louis and other places, and San Diego and things. So, I'm lucky because I got to do all of that, couple Super Bowls, playoffs, all those things, and I don't know about the more money part of it. I'm sure John could. For me, it was just an opportunity that presented itself to do something I love, and that's be around the sport of hockey every day, or at least I shouldn't say every day. I still have a full-time job elsewhere, but often enough to quench that thirst a little bit, so to speak. And I think for me, growing up as a hockey fan and riding buses in the Dub and the AHL, IHL, things like that, and kind of grinding away to get an opportunity to work for an NHL team in my hometown is something I couldn't pass up. So that's kind of the gist of it. I think we all want to make more money, but John's right. Money's not everything, and opportunities and doing something that you really have a passion about probably trumps all of that.
What's your understanding of how the Kraken Hockey Network will look similar to what we saw the last 3 years with Root Sports, and also how it'll be different, both in terms of your role and also the product overall?
Well, I think bigger picture, it's going to look much the same, except for new graphics packages, which are just phenomenal. Ryan Shaber, and Patrick Brown and Stu Virtue, Scott Malone, these guys that just work so hard in the off season to kind of put everything together. They were able to add their own touches to that and get away from the kind of the cookie cutter Root Sports graphics packages. Music is different. It's a collaboration. I think Jerry Bruckheimer was involved with is it Hans Zimmerman? Again, there's my lack of music trivia knowledge right there, right? Like I had no idea. But I think in terms of those little things, those nuances, new score bug and all those things in the corner, that'll look different, fresh, sharp, really good. Root Sports did a great job. I mean, like they, one of the best broadcasts in the NHL. It's been voted on that by The Athletic a couple times over, top 5, top 3, what have you. And, in that sense, you're not reinventing the wheel. John's is the best in the business. Edzo right there too. JT, great job. Piper's phenomenal at what she does. Allison's sees the game at a different level than most of us, but is able to articulate it at a level that most of us can really learn from and understand, which is awesome. I'm just coming in replacing, a couple of guys that worked hard the last couple of years that were hosting. So I'm just I'm the square peg, right? Like I'm just coming in to kind of to try to steer the ship 10-2, right, so to speak, and get us in and out of breaks and set Allison up and what have you. But I think it will be different. They've added cameras, replay machines, things like that. So there's some nuances and enhancements that maybe fans will notice, maybe they won't. But the product itself has been so good and at such a high level the last few years. There isn't much really to tweak outside of the fact you can watch it for free now.
Speaking of fans, Jeff Baker, the former Seattle Times hockey reporter, who's now VP of editorial for the Kraken, he had written that the move to free over-the-air broadcast and streaming on Prime Video was the single most important off-season move the franchise made, because it will afford the franchise a chance to get in front of so many more potential fans. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the numbers back that up. I think Root Sports had a reach of about 4.5 out of 10 people in the viewing areas. This new King Kong, Amazon Prime collaboration, it's 9.5 out of 10. So just inherently right there in a media market 12 just in Seattle. That doesn't include Portland and Spokane and Alaska and other areas that you can see us now. But there's 3.5 million people here. And if you just figure that, before the math, it's like radio math, TV math here. So 3.5 million, 4.5 people could see it. You do the math. It wasn't that much. Less than 1 million people had access to seeing the games on Root, right? So this just inherently makes it easier and better. I think if you ask Dan Bilesman, he'd probably say that Brandon Montour or Chandler Stevenson or a healthy Andre Burakovsky, those guys might be better acquisitions and more important than anything we're going to do on TV. But certainly, I think honestly, Glenn, all joking aside, like you've been there every night, I think, since day one, like, what it's like. We have good hockey fans here. We really do. But we need to have a broader reach, and we need to reach people that are the non-traditional hockey fan. The non-traditional NFL fan will watch the Seahawks. The non-traditional baseball fan, when given a decent product, will watch the Mariners. Husky fans will watch their team, and then even fringe Husky fans, Cougar fans, same thing. We need to get the fringe fan in to watch these games, and I think certainly the new package.